welcome to Crossover. I'm Yi Shu, and I'm filling in for Ji Xiaojun. And today, with me again, are David and Charlotte. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello again.
Well, David, you're just going to love the question that I have for you today. Okay, both of you. This is my question. You're laughing already.
I'm going to skip out of this one. You two have a fun time.
So, what does a successful man look like? In your eye, you know.
Yeah, come on. I know there's a close-up on me now. No.
You should say, you're looking at him.
Yeah, you're looking at it. A successful man.
Oh, you are very successful.
Yeah.
Yes,
a lot of Chinese think I look like Bill Gates. So I
see
look
the
like a
resemblance.
successful man.
I do.
Right?
you know, you should really work that when you go to a restaurant.
Yeah, all right. If I could work it into fooling some people into donating money, that would be good. Yeah. No, but a successful man, I don't know. For one thing, there's things that are just invisible to me. To me, suits all look alike. I mean, one suit looks like another suit, but there are people who can tell, oh, that's an expensive suit. I mean, they can even guess the price of it. But can you do that?
You know, my husband isn't necessarily into like expensive versus cheap, but he always comments on how well a suit fits someone.
The fitting, right?
And how well it's tailored, and it's a little too wide in the shoulders, or it's a little too boxy in the, you know, the torso, and I'm always just kind of like, whoa, how do you?
So I'm curious.
So
So you think suits are an indication of success, or a well-fitting suit?
Well, Charlotte said it. I mean, if you can see it's tailored, then right away you're in a different, you know, income bracket.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I'm just saying I see suits on the rack, and it's like they look just, you know, the difference is so slight. It's like.
Do you wear suits often?
No, as little as possible.
Could you name how many days a year you might wear a suit?
Out of 365 days, maybe 5 or 6 days a year.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a tie, you know, I mean, Einstein once said, a tie is a faint memory to me. You know, I would like to be that way, just no more ties, you know.
Yeah.
Although, you know, sometimes it kind of feels cool to dress up. I mean, you know, once you start to get into that ethos, and people who are business people, you know, they sort of get into that thing where it feels good actually to have a suit on. They don't. They feel sort of naked without one.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about ties, because I know that's part of the whole ensemble, right? The suit is usually, you know, black or gray. It doesn't really say much. But the tie is how a lot of corporate people, business people will show their personality. And there are many different types of ties.
Yeah. The one that kills me is the bow tie. To me, still to this day, a bow tie.
You don't like the bow tie?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's not that I don't like it. It's that to me, well, there's two associations I have with bow tie. One is the sort of nerdy nerd. Like, this is maybe from my generation or something, but, you know, people who wore bow ties were like, you know, conservative bank clerks or something like that, you know. But then the other thing are the sort of annoying right-wing commentators on the shows that think this sort of signifies a kind of a, I don't know, sort of a money-oriented, finance-oriented, conservative mindset or something like that.
I was going to say bow ties seem very academic.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, you're right. There is that too.
Right, the professor.
Well, my grandfather wears a lot of bow ties.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, but I think you're right too. Like, it does exude a little bit of a nerdiness, but it depends on the man who's wearing it. You know, I know.
It's definitely usually older men, right?
Sir Donald Tsing, you know, from Hong Kong, he wears a bow tie all the time, and he looks great in a bow tie. It reflects his personality, though, I think, and it's a bit.
But don't you think, doesn't it speak business to you? Isn't that what it screams out? It's business.
Because he looks like a businessman, he
is a business.
Yeah, because he is a businessman.
Maybe,
but kind of, I don't know. When I look at it, I kind of think a little bit of a father figure too. I don't know why. Maybe that's just my own experience with bow ties.
I think maybe experience has a lot to do. Bow ties to me feel a little more warm than ties.
Than corporate, right? Than your regular tie.
Yeah. They have a little bit more character to some extent.
Well, see, there's these bolo tie.
I've never been a fan of those.
You know what? Neither have I. We could, you know, leather strap, silver. It's very Southwest. I've never been a fan.
It's an affectation, as they say. I don't think many people wear that.
You do see bolo ties in China.
You do?
Yes,
I've never seen one.
Maybe because of doing TV and stuff, you know. But I've seen quite a few people with bolo ties.
I say save the bolo tie for your cowboy costume.
Yeah. Isn't it a very American thing, though? It's not a Chinese thing.
It is. It's
Yeah,
a very
it's very
Southwest
American.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, what is he's wearing?
Oh, the-
Beckham. Well, see,
What do you call that? An
I think
ascot?
David Beckham can wear anything.
Ascot?
It's an ascot, and
Yeah.
he looked
Very
quite good.
handsome.
Yes.
But that's like aristocrat, right?
Classic.
Classic.
British.
And wedding, like I think some afternoon, like very classy, like elegant weddings.
Yeah.
I
This
see
I
that.
haven't seen this look in China. To my
I
knowledge.
find it like, do you know the word hoity-toity?
Yes.
It's like pretentious, like,
Yes.
oh, we're speaking with a British accent, Come to the drawing room.
Do you have something against the British culture?
No. That's the first I mentioned. No. But I mean, that just strikes me as,
It does seem, like you said, aristocratic.
Yeah, or going to the horse races today or something
Right.
like that.
I think for mostly I think in China you mostly see ties. They're regular straight classic ties.
The ascot is from I'm just thinking about old movies that I've seen,
Yeah.
period pieces through Europe. That's what they used to wear,
Right.
So maybe that was probably the origin of our modern day tie.
Oh, you could be right about that.
Okay, here we go. Belt, a nice belt.
Yes.
Who notices belts?
Oh, people notice belts.
It's all part of the outfit,
Okay.
especially these days. No. And then now this is an interesting one. These next two. The first one is a pen. A nice pen.
Pens are important here.
Yeah?
Pens are important here.
Because it's all for, yeah.
But wait a minute.
Fountain pens especially.
Yes.
Because writing Chinese is so, to write Chinese well is a big thing, a big deal. And a lot of people who write well have actually studied calligraphy with a brush and ink and everything. And so if you have a nice pen that can convey that you have had this sort of background and you write really well, it's a status thing.
I wonder how much of this is a feedback between, advertising and the actual reality of the situation. Because there's, advertising can play a real important role in this kind of
Absolutely.
thing. Because they want to inculcate this idea that, one of the symbols of status is you can't just use an ordinary, big fountain pen. You have to have something that's styled and clearly costs $500, And so that feeds into the image that you may not have even thought of that as a status symbol until you see it in the ads. So, I watches. I mean, it never even occurs to me that a watch is a status symbol. But when you look at the billboards and you look at the ads, that's like numero uno, you got to have a nice watch. Even though, watch, there's clocks all around. On my computer has a watch. Why do I need a watch?
I was going to say, yeah, and a lot of people choose not to wear watches now because they have cell phones. You can always, check your time on your cell phone.
Right.
But again, it doesn't matter. It's not for the practical aspect.
Well,
it's
that's
for
true.
the status.
But I do know many what I would call successful men who like to buy watches.
There you
and
go.
they even have, boxes now where men can have, they don't buy jewelry boxes. They sell these boxes where you can have 10 or 12 watches. And if they're kinetic, the kind that don't use a battery, then it'll constantly wind it while you have it away.
That's
Yeah, they're
high
fancy
tech.
and they're expensive.
Ooh, I bet.
Yeah, so I think you're right though. There's a little bit of a commercial marketing aspect to this that's saying this is what you need to buy. This isn't what you need to look like.
A little bit. I think it's a lot. but this brings up something. I always think, I don't want to sound prejudiced here, but advertisers tend to think that women are more susceptible to these advertising messages than men are when it comes to fashion. And I wonder how many of these things are the wives pressure the man to dress in a certain way because it's a status symbol for them.
I think that's true to some extent, but I know quite a few men who kind of do this on their own. Yeah. All right, well, you want to learn how to dress to impress? Okay, well, stay tuned. All right, well, welcome back to Crossover. We've been talking about what makes a successful man. Not what makes a successful man. How does a man look successful?
How do you look successful?
So we've been talking about watches and pens.
And pens, I just want to get back to this behind every man, there's a woman.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Right.
Even in the lower economic ranks, there's an old joke that, as soon as a woman gets a boyfriend, the first thing she starts to do is to work on his wardrobe so he doesn't look like such a dork. And there's something to that. That's been my experience, I have to admit. But I wonder if it doesn't work at the higher levels too. It's like,
I have to say though, I think these days, we've metrosexual, right? That's a big
I've heard that.
word
Charlotte,
that's
explain
being
that, because I've heard that
used.
phrase. I don't know what it means.
It
What does
means
It's
that
a metropolitan. I think it's from
Yeah.
metropolitan. It's an urban male. You know, like, not always
Male?
urban, but it's a male
used to describe a man.
Okay.
who's quite
into fashion,
into
maybe,
fashion,
or into
right?
looking
Metropolitan. He's very cosmopolitan.
looking very sort of maybe fashion forward
Right.
or, you know, trendy.
And he might get
classy.
manicures because he's very aware of his appearance.
There are a lot of other luxury things. I mean, electric shavers are big now. I mean, people spend a huge amount for a good electric shaver, and I don't know. I think that's just a status symbol too. You don't really need that good, you know, spend $1,000 on an electric shaver, but some men do. But speaking of shaving, though, if you're going to talk about that, I've noticed that in all of the
shave?
I shave on all of the ads for at least the male models who are supposed to be, you know, the epitome of, you know, they're selling these style and, you know, affluence and, you know, metrosexuality perhaps. I don't
Manliness.
know. Manliness. But they all have a 3-day growth of beard. Check it out. Check it out. Almost all the billboards, the male models who are mostly, you know, classy,
And
successful,
it's
they
a
always
little
have
dim and shadowy,
yeah.
right?
But it's always only a 3-day growth of beard. I think, wow, every single one of them.
Facial grooming is very key
there
for
you
a
go.
lot of people.
There you go.
And again, I know guys.
You mean that it's a good thing, or to keep clean shaven, or
well, no, just
particular,
like
either clean shaven
designs,
or whatever.
clean-shaven
She's
or
saying it's important.
goatees,
Right. Yeah.
or specifically going for like a 3-day
Right.
growth
Yeah,
look
yeah.
kind of thing. Like I have some guy friends, and I'm just blown away by how long they'll spend in the bathroom, you know, or telling me, you know,
Grooming their facial hair.
their facial hair, and they look great. You know, it's not to say that they're being silly or ridiculous, but you know, girls are always blamed with, you know, taking too long in the bathroom and spending too much time on their appearance and, you know, makeup and
love it.
clothing and everything. But guys do it too.
Guys do it too.
And you know, it looks great.
yeah,
You know, more
I
power
have to
to
admit,
them.
you know, my husband looks a lot more mature when he has a little bit of the growth, you know, the 3-day growth. You know,
So what are you
Mine
saying?
too.
You like it too?
You know, I kind of like it. Like, there's a little bit of a sexy. It's a little bit manly, you know, and sexy. I don't like to get close to it because it's really bristly and rough. But you know, it's manly. It's sexy. You like to look at it. It looks good.
That's
don't
my
wanna touch it.
impression. Is usually that it looks good, but they wouldn't want their boyfriend to do that all the time, because as you say, it's like yuck. It's like dirty and, you know.
But, you know, back to what you were saying about, you know, women causing their, you know, forcing their men to dress in a certain way. You know, I'm talking about my husband again, but, you know, he's the man that's in my life.
And he
We're
never
talking
watches
about
this
that.
show anyway, right? You'll know.
Exactly.
You can be frank with us.
Sorry,
He'll
honey.
never know. Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, he dresses in a suit. He's in the consulting business, so he has to dress really nicely in a suit.
Yeah.
And he looks great when he goes to work. When he's at home or if we go out socially.
He's a slob.
Oh, totally. You know, he wears T-shirts that are 5 or 6 years old. He never wears a collared shirt. I'm just like, we need to go shopping, and you need to get some casual clothes to wear because he has none. You know, it's like he likes to be in his shorts.
Yeah, my husband has T-shirts that have big holes in them,
Yes.
and I'm like,
They
let's
love
throw them
those.
away. It's like, no. This is soft. This is just how I like it. This is just you know, what I
Totally.
want to be wearing. And he might wear it with a pair of dress pants.
Oh,
And I'll say, you know, I don't know that really goes. And it's no, this is my style. This is
Hey,
this
it's
is
its own
how I
personal
want to look
style.
today. I'm
Right.
like, okay.
I'd just like to point out that this is confirming my theory that the women are behind you two. Go ahead. Continue to have this little complaint fest.
No, he can wear what he wants.
I let him wear that because I know that that's what he's comfortable
but
in. It's okay, but I will complain about it or something.
No, I understand.
Actually,
No, I
I laugh
understand.
about it. I think now it's just funny. I'm
Well,
not-
and he'll give me advice on what to wear sometimes. I mean, it goes both ways. No,
No. After 10 years of marriage, no.
And Charlotte, would you take it seriously if he
Oh
gave
yeah,
you
he
some?
gives great advice.
Really?
See,
Yeah.
maybe because your husband gives good advice.
Great advice.
Oh, I'm sorry again, honey. That was really bad. But you know, let's talk about personal style, because I think, you know, we're talking about what a successful man looks like, but
Yeah.
you know, in my eyes, it differs. You know, it's variable. You might have a man looking very successful in a suit. You might have a man, you know, but I think what they look like is different. What they might, you know, which watch they're going to be. But it's
That's
to
right.
me, it's like what's inside. You know,
No,
it's a
no.
confidence. It's
That's-
It's the presence that they have.
And the clothes have to reflect that. If you're wearing something that doesn't fit you, it's not your personality, then it's not going to come out. It could be the most expensive get-up in the world, but it's not going to look right on you. So yeah, I totally agree. It has to be something that reflects who you are, that you feel good wearing, that you feel right, and then you'll come across as confident, and at least you'll come across as genuine, and that this what you're wearing means something, and it's not just some kind of fake outside appearance or
shell.
Yeah, and I've seen mainly in business settings people that really are not comfortable at all in a suit and would rather not be there, and you can tell, you can see it.
Sure.
You could just see someone who's not in that world.
Sure.
I think very often this may be oversimplified, but I think the kinds of jobs, the kinds of worlds, the kinds of sort of environments that you can develop in and feel comfortable in has a lot to do with just something like style and what the dress code is. And if you don't feel comfortable with this dress code, you're not going to be comfortable in that world. So, I mean, you're not
dress code's an interesting thing to bring up because I've always really appreciated in China how not as much emphasis is placed on your appearance as in the States, where I'm from. So you can go to a really fancy restaurant in China, really fancy. And you could go in jeans. I've been to a really fancy gold gilded restaurant, Chinese restaurant, really expensive, and I saw people in their pajamas, older like grandpa, grandma people in their pajamas, and it was fine. And I think it's changing more and more. People are becoming much more fashion conscious and appearance conscious, especially in big cities in China. But there is some element to Chinese culture that is a little more relaxed on the whole appearance side, and the success or that kind of thing is like what we were saying. It's more of an inside thing than it is based on how you look, which I really appreciate here, because sometimes you don't want to get dressed up, but you want to have a great meal.
Yeah.
I actually sometimes feel differently. I feel like sometimes when I'm in Beijing that I really need to dress up. I don't know why, and maybe it's because of I feel like Beijing has changed in the last 8 years. So, 8 years ago, I felt like I could wear anything. I could be a slob out in any restaurant, but I kind of feel like now that I need to dress a little bit better.
Changing.
And it's probably because of where I'm from in the States, because I'm from California, so it's very casual. You could go out, wearing, shorts and flip-flops almost everywhere. But you're right, like for restaurants, for real dress code, there is no dress code in China.
No.
It's just how you might feel wearing a certain thing. Whereas in the U.S., they will have specific dress codes.
Yeah,
right.
And I've actually talked to some people who are in the restaurant industry here, some international people, and they said, we specifically don't have a dress code for our restaurant, whereas if we were in, say, the States, we might have a dress code. Here we don't, because it's not really part of the culture to have a dress code, and you couldn't really enforce it.
Right. Right.
So when you look at a man that you find, at least it seems to exude, success, maybe even power or something, what are you actually looking at? Are you actually looking at the clothes, or is it some like a gestalt? Like when I see someone I think of the old, Sean Connery as James Bond, or now George Clooney, in some of his roles, when he just comes out and he's just masculinity and confidence and power. I think, how does he do that? I mean, what is it? Because it's partly the clothes, right?
Right.
What
well,
is it?
You know what? I'm not going to answer that question. When we come back, we're going to
have George Clooney.
Yeah, we're going to have a little.
George Clooney is going to come on the show and answer that question.
Wouldn't that be great? All right, stay tuned. And welcome back. So David posed a question to Charlotte and I. It's a tough question.
It's a 360-degree thing. It's not just clothing.
No, it can't be.
No,
because you can see right through the clothing. Like you said before, if they don't have the present or the what's inside to carry that, you could see right through it.
I have another question, another aspect we didn't talk about, which is the haircut. I mean, some people can just tell by the haircut. Well, that's an expensive haircut. I mean, you could tell. I mean, I'm someone, I really hate my hair. I have a bad relationship with my hair. I don't even know what to do with my hair. I never understand how to comb it, what to do with it, Like when we get ready for the show, I said, whatever you want to do with it, I don't care. Whatever.
Have you been to a fancy stylist ever?
Never.
Okay.
I treat him to one.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of what they would do to me. I mean, they don't want to.
Hair styling, hair cutting is an art. And there are people who know their art. And actually recently I just read an article, someone was lamenting how a hairstylist wrote it, and they were lamenting on how stylists nowadays don't take the time to get to know their client's head, like head shape, where your cowlicks are,
face shape, right?
Yeah.
Face shape. You know, also what kind of personality you have, what industry you're in.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
even the texture of the
I
hair.
mean,
right?
there are all kinds of things that go into giving someone a good haircut. And
So can you tell? Can you tell if someone had an expensive haircut or a cheaper
not
haircut?
always, you know, because I don't really like my hair either, so
You got great hair.
Your hair is perfect.
It is
but I
perfect.
do go to a really great stylist
Well,
that
there you go.
I like a lot. But yeah.
But I think that's when I think of, you know, handsome men, that's part of it is the hair is always, whatever it has this ineffable quality of just being perfect for the face and the jaw and everything. You know, the hair is really very important. And it's not something you can just give them, you know, any old kind of haircut. They put a lot of effort and thought into what kind of hairstyle to give themselves, you know. So I just wondered about that.
It all goes together.
I mean, to answer your question, I think it all goes. It's the whole package, right? Again, it's grooming. It's number one, hygiene. I think if they have, you know, I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
you know,
yeah.
teeth. You know, like, you know, if they have yellow teeth, you know, like really bad teeth, like that's. Now I feel really superficial, but you know, teeth, hair, like you're saying, hair. It's all kind of part of it. You know,
So do you think that women look at men differently? I mean, with men, they may be looking at women in a different way. Maybe it's not so much of a gestalt. The way you're talking, it sounds like, you know, a successful man, or, you know, it's a mixture of everything. You said 360.
It is. It's a mixture of everything. And then, you know, you could look at someone and they could not have anything of what we're talking about, not have any of the qualities of what we've just been talking about, you know, the suit or the haircut or the whatever, and just be the epitome of the successful man.
And you women say things that puzzle us sometimes. Like you say, if you say, is that guy handsome? And the women will often say, handsome? No, he's not at all handsome, but he's very sexy. And we say, what? Not handsome, but very sexy. Because most of us guys would not look at a woman and say, she's ugly, but very sexy. It doesn't make any sense.
But would you differentiate between saying someone's beautiful and someone's sexy?
right?
Probably.
It's sex appeal versus beauty.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not the same thing.
But someone could not. They can be not beautiful but sexy, but they couldn't be ugly and sexy.
No.
That sounds a little bit
Right, but I don't think you would ever say a man was ugly and sexy.
Well, I'm thinking of this particularly of this French actor Gérard Depardieu, who I'd hear a lot of French women say, no, his nose is too big, and you know. But I just love him. I just love the way he's manly.
That's his charisma. That's his inner
character, his personality.
Yeah, his soul, his chi, his everything. No. It's all very much because you can see someone who fits all of the criteria we've mentioned today, who has really just a bad feel to them, and you wouldn't put them in a category of that's a successful, you know, attractive, appealing man.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people would also say you could detect a successful man by all the women that are flocking around him, right?
I seem to fail in that category for some reason. Although I do have lots of young little girls flocking around me, but
successful in your along with your career in your family.
Yeah.
Right.
Somehow that doesn't that doesn't make me feel better, but thanks anyway.
We started off talking about it being kind of at this very superficial level, but I think, you know, it
seems like you've gone full circle, that no matter how good the superficial aspect is, it all goes to naught if the inner person doesn't come out there. Right?
Absolutely.
You know,
so that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and we talked about the wealthy Chinese people who might still have bad manners, but likewise there are, you know, maybe even, you know, you hear stories about royalty in Europe who have squandered all of their family's fortunes and yet still try to hang on to, you know, this image, you know, but then actually, you know, they're not successful, but they hang on to the cars and they're debt ridden.
The manners.
Right.
Do you think, you talk about Europe, and do you think that there's a difference in I won't say racial or body type or something, that, you know, that there's certain kinds of, like they say, you know, the qipao looks great on Chinese women, but it just doesn't fit. It doesn't work with Western women. I mean, I always think about suits, you know, like uniforms. that can look really good on an American cop. You know, it looks like power and authority. But you put on a, you know, they say, you know, the Vietnamese cops, that the uniforms don't look right because there's this different kind of body type. Is that the case with suits? Like, you know, does Chinese men, can they look good in Western suits?
You know, I don't think you could go by ethnicity, but I think you go by body type, because I think certain men will look good in like a 3-button suit that's cut a little bit bigger if they're a bigger, large, maybe American type of man. But I think an Italian suit that's slim fitting is not going to look good on everybody
because it just hangs loose. There's nothing like, you know.
Right, but the Italian suit is very slim fitting. So I think if the man was more, it looks better. I think maybe every man can wear it, but I think it looks better on a man who is slim.
I agree that body type definitely plays a lot into it.
You're taking your notes. I'm
taking notes.
The next time that you buy a suit that you're going to wear for 5 days out of the year.
But there's hope for me, because from everything you're saying, there's still hope for me to exude this, you know, without paying all this money on the
David,
shoes.
Who says you don't?
Right?
Thank you, Charlotte. Yeah. You want to go out later?
What do you mean? That's exuding already.
Exuding, yeah, right.
You know, David, we've been talking all about successful men, but like, let's just turn the tables really quickly. What do you see? What does a successful woman look like?
Well, for me, it definitely has. I mean, clothing is definitely involved too, but the clothing is more like an indication of a kind of person. Like for me, if a woman has something that shows that she's perhaps more introspective, or something who cares, you know, about herself and her hygiene, but it's not flashy. But that's my personality, you know. So I'm thinking maybe this person is a deep thinker. Maybe this person, you know, is likely to share.
And that's
something.
what's attractive to you, a deep thinker, a cerebral woman, right?
Yeah. So I might notice things too, like fashion accessories, like, you know, her cell phone, for example. If it's got a lot of pink bubbles on it or something, I'm thinking, not me, not my type. You know? But if it's just you know, like a cell phone that shows that she doesn't really care that much about cell phones.
So that's what's attractive to you, a cerebral, deep thinker type of woman.
Yeah.
So I mean, no trendy, flashy type of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much a child of the '60s, so things like.